Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm coming at you with a dupe or dud, this time featuring some eyeshadow palettes. One is the Urban Decay Naked 3, the high-end product in this dupe or dud video, and the other is the Maybelline, the Blushed palettes. Now Maybelline has recently launched a few of these kind of larger 12-pan palettes. This isn't the first one, it's one of 4. I have 2 of the other palettes. One is the Smokes, which I haven't really talked about because I personally don't think it's that exciting. It's not a great palette to me. The other is the Nudes, which I think I did a review of, and basically, while it is another nude palette from the drugstore, it's not trying to be kind of a high-end nude. There's a mix of warm and cool and shimmer and matte. It's not really trying to be Naked 1 or 2 or any other nude or naked palette out there. But when I spotted the Blushed Nudes at Walmart, the resemblance to Urban Decay's Naked 3 palette was just uncanny. I'll flash a picture of the 2 up beside here. It's not just that they have the same color motif, it is like the shadows are sequentially in the same order. So I had to pick it up and give it a try, let you know my thoughts. So right off the bat, I wanna say it's not a dupe. I don't wanna mislead you and tell you that buying the Maybelline Blush Nudes palette is going to be identical to buying the Urban Decay Naked 3, which is really the strict definition of a dupe. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean you can't accomplish very, very similar looks using the 2. I wanted to kind of put that to the test and show you. So on my right eye today, I am using only Urban Decay Naked 3 shadows, and then using the shades that I thought came closest in the Maybelline Blush Nudes palette, I'm using only those on my left eye. And I think you can see there are subtle differences. They might not look identical. I'll give you a close-up here as well so you can really get in there and see the differences, but for all practical purposes, it is a very similar look. So I want to go into each palette and talk about how they differ. First off, the Naked 3. I did a review of this right when it came out, and I probably have an unpopular opinion when I say that while it is a beautiful palette, it, especially at the time that it came out, was very unique in that it included a lot of pinks and mauve-leaning taupes, and they weren't so pink that they were unflattering and they made you look sickly. They were very flattering. The shadow quality is amazing. My gripe with it was that there wasn't enough contrast amongst the shades. So I found that I could pull really any shade from the lighter end of the spectrum here and any shade from the darker end, and it would kind of come out looking the same. That was my main complaint with this palette. I like it, it's a nice palette, but I don't know that I love it $54 worth given the variety of looks I felt I could create with it. But like I said, at the time that it came out, there really weren't a whole lot of other options out there. The one that somebody actually mentioned in the tutorial where I used the Blush Nudes palette, somebody wanted a comparison between it and the Lorac, the original Lorac Unzipped palette. They're very similar, but they're not at all dupes, and the Unzipped contains a burgundy, and the pink and mauve leaning shadows in here are considerably less pink and mauve than those that you'll find in the Urban Decay Naked 3. I don't think they're really comparable, but they do give you the same kind of feel. This was really the only palette of its kind out there with these kinds of pinks. But now that you have the Maybelline's Blushed Nude palette that is not only very similar, but replicates some of these shadows down to a T well enough to create very, very similar looking eyeshadow looks using the 2. It might be worth it for those that want to incorporate those pinks and mauve taupes into their everyday makeup collection, but don't want to spend $54 doing it. And again, all that being said, I want to reiterate that it's not a dupe. These taupes down here do deviate from the taupes offered in the Naked 3, and the shadow quality is obviously not as good. It's Urban Decay. They're known for their creamy, highly pigmented shadows. You do have to work a little bit harder for the pigment in these shadows, and that's a comment that a lot of you made in the tutorial where I used this, is you didn't feel like they were pigmented enough. And in that tutorial, I was using kind of a fluffier blending brush to apply these lighter shades. If, however, you apply using a flat shader like this one from EcoTools to really dig into these shadows and apply, you can see that you get very similar pigmentation to what you would get out of the Naked 3 palette. So ultimately what this video is trying to answer is whether or not you can get away with buying the Maybelline palette in lieu of the Urban Decay 3 and get virtually an identical palette. No, I think I'm being repetitive when I say that. If you're not so much concerned with the smoothness and creaminess of the shadows, you're willing to work with them a little bit more, can you get very similar looks? Absolutely. So I really hope this video helped you guys. I don't want to mislead you and think that this is a dupe, but at the same time, they are very, very close. And if you're wanting to save a ton of money and incorporate those pink leaning shadows in your everyday makeup routine, I think this is a great way to do it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.